Fraser Island, a touring destination for anyone who owns a four-wheel drive. This World Heritage listed island is home to around 200 dingo spread out over this 122 kilometre island, making it one of the largest islands in the world. I'm getting to the island from the Manta Ray barge at Inskip Point, but first I think I need to clean my car out. Man, I could be a grump. After airing down, it was time to make the journey over to the island, and for me to make my way to the campground I was gonna call home for the next week. I didn't know it yet, but Fraser Island was going to be the last trip in the Ford Ranger. We'll get to that later. Whilst driving on the island, you really do want a good set of tyres, and to air those tyres down to make your tread wider so you're less likely to get bogged. Super soft sand. So the tide is in at the moment, it's just working its way out and it's just really soft. After travelling down the beach for about 30 minutes, I found what I was looking for. My first dingo on the island. Now these guys are a protected species and you face massive fines for any interaction. So I used my camera with a wildlife lens to take some photos and then we parted ways. How amazing are these photos? After capturing those photos, I continued on down the beach. This is amazing, but I've just realized that the tide's coming in, so I was under the impression it was already in and it's going out, but I've been watching it for the last 10 minutes and it's working its way in, so I am beelining for the campsite at the moment, just because if the tide comes in I won't be able to drive too far, and secondly, worst comes to worst, I could get trapped in the water, which won't be good for the car will get written off. So we're just heading as far as we can before the tide comes in and we can't go any further. Hopefully we will make it to the campground though and get some higher ground. Saying that though, if the tide does come in, I think we'll just pull up on a sandbank for a couple of hours and just hang out. I do not envy sand driving. So we're up to about 60k at the moment. I couldn't get anything over about 40 before. So we're just trying to keep the momentum up, keep the car going, and yeah, hopefully we make it there before the tide comes in. Yeah, wow. Alright, we're all good. We're good. A lot of the roads that bypass the high tide zones are often single lane, and it always pays to be very careful when driving. And having your car in four-wheel drive always helps. Plus, having someone in front isn't too bad either. After reaching the campground, I called it a night and left early the next morning to get to my first location, the Maheno Wreck.
I will see you guys in the morning.
It's about 6 a.m. in the morning at the moment. We're actually heading down to the Maheno Wreck. It's one of those locations that I would really like to get photos of. One with the sunrise, and secondly without anyone there. So we've just left the campsite and we're making our way down to the beach at the moment and heading to the Maheno Wreck from there. Now it is kind of high tide still. So the Maheno Wreck is in water, but saying that, we're just going to pull up and we are going to just hang out until sunrise comes in, and then we'll go from there. All right, so it's a little bit easier to see now. I don't know how hard it is to hear me, but there's a Maheno Wreck. We've just taken photos of it, which is awesome, and I'm about to fly the drone. The only issue is though, I forgot to transfer footage last night. So we're gonna take the SD card out of the GoPro, put it in the Air 2. So let's quit talking, get the SD card out of this, and let's go from there. This ship was built in 1905 and was commissioned as a hospital ship in World War I. In 1935, it was sold to Japan, and whilst in transit, a storm off the Queensland coast sent her adrift and she marooned up on the island. Now, she's seen better days, but this ship is one of the biggest attractions on Fraser Island, and I managed to get it all to myself. How awesome are these photos? As you just saw, it is amazing. I've just realized though that I lost my fuel cap. So I filled up at about 4:30 this morning, and because it was pitch black, I was in a rush because I wanted to get down here before anyone else got here. I just realized that now the sun's come up that my fuel's exposed. So hopefully it's on one of the pathways in the campground. So we're gonna head back there so we can transfer some footage. I can have a shower because I look like an absolute wreck at the moment. And hopefully we can find this fuel cap. Yeah, so at the moment I just have a Hessian bag that comes with all the ropes and everything for the awning sides. So I've just cable tied one of them around at the moment. We're gonna head back, see if we can find it. Sweet, let's go. Update on the fuel cap. I've walked everywhere I drove this morning and I cannot find it. So I'm hoping that reception have some. Hopefully not getting any sand or salt into it. Other than that, I'm hopping in to have a shower, transfer footage out, and yeah, we'll have to go from there. That's all we can do. I ended up finding the fuel cap. It was on the side of the track, which is awesome because now I don't have to use that anymore. After refitting the fuel cap and transferring the previous day's footage, I decided to head up the beach for a swim at another one of Fraser Island's iconic locations, the Champagne Pools. Reaching the pools is quite easy. All you need to do is follow the beach up to Waddy Point, and after you hit Indian Heads, the pools are about another 2.2 kilometers ahead, putting them roughly halfway between Waddy Point and Indian Heads. Once you get here, it's a short walk to the pools from the car park, and let me tell you, it's worth it. The best time to get here is first up in the morning when there is next to no one here, and you can have the entire place to yourself. And I've been told that if you want to see them, this is the place to come. So hopefully we'll end up seeing some. But saying that, who knows? We're just coming down the stairs now, and the guy that's down at the Champagne Pools looks like he has a pretty expensive camera. So I'm assuming that he's probably my photographer friend that I keep getting told about. So we'll head down, introduce ourselves, and then yeah, see if that's the guy that everyone's been raving about at cathedrals. Damn. Here are the Champagne Pools. The Champagne Pools is a fantastic place to bring the family for a unique beach swimming experience here on Fraser Island. With two pools, you can have kids of all ages, with one pool being reasonably shallow and with the second pool being a little bit deeper. This is an absolute fantastic place and you will always remember your visit here. That was awesome. We're going to work our way onto the Nagala Rocks. Whether we make it there is a whole other thing. It is coming in a high tide, but saying that, whew, I got to meet the island photographer, which was awesome. And we got to swim around in the Champagne Pools without anyone there. We finally got some people coming now. So, whew, God damn, I'm already worn out. We'll see you guys back at the car. I just met Peter. I was telling you about him before. He's the island photographer. And yeah, we just hung up, had a chat. We might meet up with them a bit later, but we are moving on to the Nagala Rocks now. So hopefully we'll be right to get out there. I've heard it's really, really soft sand though. So we're at 25 PSI at the moment. We may have to go down further. So we're heading down there now. The trip to the infamous Nagala Rocks all the way up to the Sandy Cape is a pretty easy run once you get back onto the beach from the Champagne Pools.
there are a few inland tracks that you do still need to take. You do need to remember that when you take some of these inland tracks, the sand can be super soft. It's always good to remember to let your tires down and to remember the old four-wheel drive saying, second gear low and go. Keeping up your momentum is so important because once you lose your momentum, your car is going to get bogged and you're going to have a bad time if you don't have any recovery equipment or you're traveling by yourself like I am.
That was an intense couple of minutes. So we got through, we didn't get bogged. So we're continuing down the Cape a bit further. I'm hoping I'm allowed on here. I'm not kind of sure. There's no real signs anywhere, but there is another car track here. So we're just following that down at the moment to see where that ends up.
Traveling along the beach at low tide does make this trip a lot easier. It's not without its challenges though.
It is a little bit nerve-wracking because I know if I get really bogged in the sand, I know that could potentially ruin this trip. It could end this trip. It could ruin my car. So I'm just being very careful, more cautious than what I normally am. Usually I'm just 100%, but when it comes to salt water, no, I'd rather be cautious, take my time, rather than end up in one of them. Sand is really soft as well, so we're trying to keep on the firmer side, which is unfortunately a bit closer to the water, but we're also trying to keep high up so we're not running into the water at all. But we've gotten past that section. I can see what I'm assuming is the Cape from here, so we're just going to keep running down and yeah, hopefully see the lighthouse from there. Time? Let's go. Got around them. Yoo! Perfect. Now, this beach so far has all been about timing. So timing it with the waves, timing it with the water coming in, timing the tide charts. Because if you haven't got them timed, you won't have a car leaving here essentially. So we're just being very cautious in our approach. We've just gotten over a section of rocks. We're just watching the tide at the moment just because we have a lot of rocks here. So they're all the rocks. And honestly, I haven't got the GoPro on stabilizer at the moment, but honestly, it's going to be easier to go around these rocks, but we're just looking, so I'm not the first person that's walked through here, and check this out. So we can see we've already got footprints down here, we've got tire marks here, so we're just going to follow the tire marks and just see what route they've taken before we drive over it. Because the last thing that I need is to get bogged here or get bogged anywhere. Again, I know the tide's going out, but saying that, I don't really want to get caught through here. So it's looking like they've come through here, up over this rock, dropped down, and you can see their tire marks continuing on over there. So we're going to do the smart play, and we're going to follow these tire marks and make our way in. But like I just said, the water is still working its way in. So we're going to be really careful, really cautious about getting the car over to the other side. But hopefully it's not going to be too much of an issue.
made it. We are all the way up at the northern tip of Fraser Island. Well, as far as we can drive anyway. So this is where we're camping at Cathedrals Beach. We've come all the way up, past the beach, past Indian Head, past Waddy Point, and we've worked our way all the way up past South and North Nagala Rock. We've worked our way from the Nagala Rocks all the way up here, and we're now right at the top here in Zone 9. We're just gonna wait this rain out, head up to the sand dune, find the lighthouse, and then head back down the coast, hopefully for lunch. So, yeah, here we go. All right, so it's raining a little bit too much still. I don't really want to take my drone up, so we've left the car behind us and we're going to head up the top of the sand dunes and see what we can see from the top. We're almost there. It's really weird. It's like a mixture of really, really hard sand, really, really soft sand. So you'll be walking fine for a couple of minutes, and out of nowhere, you'll be up your ankle in sand. And you take 4 steps, and you'll be fine again. You'll be on hard stuff, but whew, we just reached the top of the first sand dune, and it just keeps going on and on and on. So this is the top, the first sand dune, and it just keeps going. Whew. Just cannot get any better than that here on Fraser Island. We'll see you next week. Might be wondering how I ended up in this situation.
Hop in there, I don't care.
After I left the Sandy Cape, I headed back to Cathedrals on Fraser. When I returned, I noticed that my axle was leaking a bit of fluid. So I did the sensible thing. I left early the next morning, headed back to the Manta Ray Bud, and about halfway down the coast, we lost the axle shaft and the wheel. So my car managed to travel 100 meters before it pulled up, and that's the story. We had to be towed, and that's what ended the solo trip. And after I had the car fixed, I decided to call it and head home. When I was roughly 2 kilometers from my house, I managed to end up in a crash, and I wrote the Ford Ranger off. So we'll see you guys next time with a new vehicle, with new locations. I can't wait.